Morning, guys.
Good morning.
Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. How's Cindy?
How's it? Hi, everyone. If I didn't see that message on my phone now, I wouldn't be here. I'm still on leave, so I'm not quite with the program yet.
No problem. Everybody have a good break?
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you go away, Brian, or not?
Me, yeah, over New Year's just to a reserve down the road past Tilbach. 5-6 nights. It was really cool.
What they got there?
No, it's just zebras and harties and lots of springbok. But they also got copper and black springbok as well, which is a bit rare. But between the chalets, and you can take your dogs with. They got like walls around the chalet, so it's quite interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Shannon.
Hi there, Dirk. Hi there, guys. Compliments the season. All the best for 2024.
Yeah, you too. Getting everyone in, yeah. Hi, Brendan.
Hey, how's it, Dirk?
Build yourself.
Good, thank you.
You in Cape Town?
Me, Joburg.
Yeah. Joburg, shame. Okay. Sorry.
Not that. It's not that bad. It's not that bad.
Okay.
All the money's moving to the Western Cape.
Money's online.
This is true. See, this is why we have an office in Cape Town as well.
Good. Give it a few more minutes. Just trying to see who's not here. Okay. I think in the meantime, I know we've got some new people on the group. Who should we start with? Maria, you knew. I'm sure you knew.
I am.
So me and Echo. Okay, cool. Oh, well, welcome, Maria. Have you got a camera or not?
I do, but I don't want to be on camera.
Okay.
You're forcing me.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, Dirk. Hello, everyone.
Do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself, Maria?
Oh, I've been in the industry. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I had it on my phone and the.
Yeah, I was going to say you're on twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've been in the industry since 2007. Yeah, and yeah, what can I say? Not the easiest thing to do in life, but we press on, and yeah, it's good to be in the group. I've learned a lot. I've been very encouraged to carry on what I'm doing by being here. So thank you for that, Dirk. I appreciate it.
No problem. Who introduced you to the group?
Mr. Mark Weston Ford, of course.
Okay.
Hello, Mark.
Hello, everybody.
How's it, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Mary. Cara, you're also new.
I am indeed.
Okay. Do you want to tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Identify as a female, and Mark introduced me to this group. I work with Mark.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been around for a long time. That's about
Okay.
it. I'm not on video today. I've just come off from a bicycle ride, so I'm hot and sweaty and don't want you all to see me like this.
Okay, that's no problem. I'm sure we've seen worse, but that's fine.
I've just come from a Pilates class, so yeah, I didn't want to show myself. So. Cara, challenge.
No, so you can see all
Are
the
you
New
also
Year's
in Germany,
resolutions.
All the training gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's starting off with best intentions. So it's a good start. Morning, Russell.
Morning, everyone. Compliments of the new year.
Yeah. Where are you at home?
Yeah, working from home. We're still just working on some practices and branding and stuff like that. So only doing new meetings from the 22nd with clients.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Okay, guys, let's get started. I've sent invites out, I think, until July. Yeah, I thought instead of just sending and then changing it, I thought what we're going to do is we want people to opt in every month because the group is getting really big. And hi, Marguerite. Morning, June. The group's getting really big, and obviously we want to keep it relevant. So we don't, for want of a better word, want too much dead wood here. We'd rather just keep refreshing. It's nothing personal. We understand if people don't join for a while, they can always join later at any point. I just want to avoid having a massive WhatsApp group that where a lot of people aren't active. What I thought we'd do today is, see, Simon's not here, he was going to come, is let's just, because it's the time of New Year resolutions and new beginnings, as it is every year this time. Maybe what I thought we'd do is just start, if anyone's got anything to share from what they've learned from the group over the last year. So this could be things that have worked, things that haven't worked, and not even from this group, even from anywhere else. If there's anything that someone would like to share with the group, I thought that might be a good place just to start. Brian, I know you've learned something. Come on. You're muted.
No, I just swore. What have I learned? Well, I've learned so much. So one of the things I learned from actually it was Mark on a different group, but Mark mentioned in the meeting that he has dedicated kind of like the modern term is deep worker days, like where you just don't have meetings and you do work. So I was having a problem where I was trying to plan for clients, and then I'd have planning meetings, and I'm trying to plan for clients, and I have these disruptions. And so I implemented at least once a week now. I have like a full day where I'm not allowed to. There's no meetings. I don't pick up the phone, and it's just getting a lot of planning work done because I'm not at the stage where I have a paraplanner. I started off with 2 days a week. Then my client said to me on Calendly they couldn't basically ever book a day with me because those 3 days filled up very quickly. So I've got 1.5 days, a Monday until 12. No one can book anything in my diary. And then a Friday at all, no one can book anything in my diary. And that's changed things for me a lot. So that was good advice from Mark. So thanks, Mark.
I didn't know I was that insightful. I think you should say which Mark.
You.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It's very easy just to get I know I do it. You're on email all the time and you reply to clients right away. And it's a vicious circle because they get used to it. So it does make sense to actually switch things off from time to time. Anybody else? Cindy, I'm sure you've learned stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, I've learned so much. That's the problem. I don't even know what to say at this stage. I think the one thing that I've learned personally, and I think this is really just kind of settled on me in the last weeks, actually, is, you know, I've been in this game now coming up 10 years, Dirk. I mean, can you believe that? Only doing lifestyle financial planning-ish since 2017, dipping my toe in. I've always felt, yeah, everyone else knows everything. And I've just had that whole complex thing. And I've realized, actually, I know one heck of a lot. If I've just take some time to consider things that clients have said back to me, I'm doing a blimmin' good job. And so if I could take one learning and just sort of settle into the fact that this is an incredible career. Sometimes I've wanted to throw the towel in because it is hard sometimes. People are frustrating, things happen. You know, just yesterday, I'm dealing with a client, even though I'm on sort of leave. Just stuff keeps happening that I didn't know about from his previous blah, blah, whatever. And, you know, just to think, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. How can I help? Let's sort this out. So just, I think, confidence in the process that Dirk actually helped me a lot in formulating my processes. You may not even know it, but I've gleaned a lot from you. And just to settle into that and you know, just keep trying. No, I'm not perfect. I need to get 100%. That's okay. I'll get there, you know, but I think just my biggest learning is I'm so excited about this year. Usually I go into a year dreading it because I'm like, oh, I've got so much to learn. I know more than enough to do my job very well. And while I'm in the relaxed state and then the enjoyment state, my brain's open. That growth mindset thing, I will keep learning.
That's great, Cindy. Yeah, I think, I mean, I always say, like, we never ever stop learning. I think, you know, when you think you stop learning, then there's a big problem. And I think even, you know, that people take the time to be in a group like this, that's direct evidence that you're wanting to improve and you're prepared to share with other people and learn from each other. So if you're doing that, that can only be a good thing, you know. And I think we've always got to realize, I mean, one of the points I wanted to talk about, and we will later, was one thing I've decided this year is to try and keep things really simple and just because there's so much noise out there. You know, there are so many people giving advice. You know, a lot of people don't do what we do. And so it can get very confusing, I think, especially for a lot of the newcomers, you know, to the profession who are wanting to do it properly. It can become quite overwhelming. So I think you kind of need to decide who you're going to kind of follow or listen to. But I think you're right, you know, and we must always remember that clients out there know nothing compared to what we know. The average man in the street, the average doctor, accountant, lawyer, most of them do not know anything close to what our knowledge is around the industry, be it around products or be it around planning. So I think we need to take, you know, self-confidence from that. And you have to have that self-belief, because if you don't have that self-belief, people can smell it. It's like, you know, fear or doubt. So thanks, Cindy. Anyone else want to share anything?
Yeah, just following the thread we're on now, and Dirk, you know, for me, what I've got out of this group, I've been in the industry 23 years, and you don't ever stop learning. And one of the things that I really feel that I've gained out of this group is just these pearls of wisdom that people drop in from time to time, and that I'm so grateful for that. One of the biggest is that you shared, Dirk, excellent investment advisor, loving this, and just again, following the knowledge thread. I'm busy reading it at the moment. He talks on knowledge. Our profession rewards us not rewards us not at all for what we know, but for what we do and for what we are able to convince other people we do. And I think those words need to ring true all the time.
No, you're right, Shannon. I mean, you know, our job is about getting people to take action. You know, if we don't get people to take action, then we're not really making a difference. And I think it's difficult sometimes. I see a lot of the young planners like really reaching out and trying to help people and knocking their heads because, you know, you've got to know when to walk away. You know, maybe at some times people just aren't ready for what you have to offer them. But yeah, I'm glad you're reading that book. It's like when I was reading that, I'd like put it down every now and then just to kind of process because it's like so obvious and it's like really in your face. But yeah, great. Dylan.
Oh, good morning, everyone, and Happy New Year to you all. I'm very excited for the year ahead with the group as well. I think what was interesting is hearing all these high numbers. I've been in industry for 30 years, 23 years, 10 years. So what I've enjoyed is actually seeing some younger faces. We do exist. We're not unicorns. The average advisor age is probably mid-50s. So it's very refreshing having some younger faces adding input. And I think in what we do, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Everyone wants to show everyone else how well they're doing, how big their clients are, how big their books are. But I think what I've enjoyed in the group is people actually being vulnerable and real and actually talking about things they struggle with, because I think we all struggle at times. So I think that's been very refreshing for me. On the other side, it's also been interesting seeing how people operate their firms and how they charge. Hearing that some people are billing with flat fees, some people a mixture of AM flat fees and upfront. So that's been very interesting because I think it's quite tough to navigate how to run a financial planning business, particularly when you are younger, how to manage your expenses versus how you're charging clients. And then at the same time, not getting caught in sideshows all the time where you're not actually earning any revenue and helping too many people. So yeah, there's been a lot of learning. But I'd say the biggest one's probably been learning how to prioritize at work. I think that's been very important for me in the last year.
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. Thanks for that, man. And yeah, I mean, it is great that we've got a complete mix. You know, when I talk about this group, I talk about young planners, but sometimes the young planners aren't that young in years, but young to wanting to do lifestyle planning. And it's really great, I think, that we have people who have been in the industry for a long time and then are actually able to recognize that maybe, you know, they can do things differently. Not that they've done things badly, but just that there's a better way. And again, for the newcomers, that's what this group is about. It's, you know, it is about being vulnerable, because no one's career path is just straight up. And we can always learn from each other. I mean, I love learning from the newcomers because the challenges are often very similar to what I faced early in my career. But at the same time, as times change, you know, some things are different. So great. Alex.
Thanks. Yeah, morning, everyone. So during the end of last year, I saw I can't remember if I read it or I saw a video, but it's quite a weird analogy. It's quite a strange analogy, but it was one that really struck a chord for me. And they call it the eating the frog analogy. And it simply says that if you had to wake up every day for the rest of your life, and every day you have to eat a frog, you know, you have the choice to, when you wake up, eat that frog early in the morning and get it over and done with, or you can just keep delaying it till later in the day. And then eventually you're going to have to do it. And the story behind that is, you know, if there's something you have to do or work you have to do, you know, I'm prone to procrastinating, is that, you know, you can wake up and eat that frog straight away, get it over and done with, and you don't have to stress at all about the task or about the frog. Whereas if you delay it, you know at the back of your head there is a frog that you're going to have to eat, and it weighs on you, and you know it can bring a bit of stress. Whereas if you get it over and done with early in the day, it's done, it's taken care of, and you can kind of, you know, be a lot less stressed as the day goes on. So I remember, reading or watching a video on that towards the end of last year, and that's kind of how I want to tackle this year. To the point where when I come into work every day now, the first thing I say is, okay, what frogs do I need to eat early? Because get the bad stuff out of the way as soon as possible. That way it's not, sitting on your shoulders as the day goes on, knowing that you still have to do that. So that's a little bit of a piece of advice or wisdom that I've picked up towards the end of last year, and it seems to be helping so far. So I know it's a bit left field, but it has helped.
We like left field. There's actually, I put in the notes, there's actually a book called Eat the Frog by Brian Tracy. It's a really short read, but Alex, I mean, I can also procrastinate, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Get the horrible stuff out the way. Anyone else have anything to share? Come on, Marguerite.
I was wondering whether to put up my hand now or later. Morning, everyone, and sorry I was a bit late. Some domestic interruptions on this side. So, quick question while I'm on the domestic interruptions. On the guy's side, do you find that your family impacts your business with domestic interruptions? Or is this something that we as women tend to battle with more?
You obviously work from home.
I do.
Okay. So I can imagine that as a challenge, yeah.
I think that's a determining factor. Are you working from home or not?
So in COVID, it did affect me because just as I was having a meeting, my wife would be vacuuming outside the door, and so do you have young kids?
They're not that young anymore, 13 and 15, yeah.
Oh, lovely age.
Are you being sarcastic?
I'll leave that to you to decide, yeah. Guys, is anyone else working? Yeah, that's a great question. Anyone else working from home? Because I know a lot of people do work from home now, that have other people in the house that, and then how do you deal with that?
I work from home, but I don't have kids, and my wife is working harder than me in her office. So, but I have the dogs, and if someone rings the bell, they go mental. And so I have Crisp, and no one can hear the dogs barking. So the dogs can be under my table, and they can go mental, and all the people will hear is my voice. And so I've tested it with the clients. So I try and protect myself that way, and then obviously with meetings with clients, I close the door so no one can hear what we're talking about as well. But fortunately, I don't have people knocking on the door asking for a sandwich or something like that. So.
Oh, I don't work from home. Sorry, I don't work from home, and I get loads of interruptions from my family because they need mom. And you know what? I'm first a mom before anything else. It's pretty disruptive. But this too shall pass is one of my mantras.
Thanks, Cindy. Brendan, you had your hand up, and Russell.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 3-year-old daughter, so that's what weird and wild and wonderful. Working from home when she's there is always a challenge because I'll put a movie on or something and she'll watch, and then she gets bored and she'll come find me wherever I am. So that's always a challenge. But yeah, and your schedule tends to get disrupted because life happens a lot. So I'll be running late on a morning. Thankfully, my bosses are quite understanding if I've got a little margin to be a little bit late because of my circumstances, and then I have to travel a fair way. But yeah, it's life definitely, work is kind of fits into life sometimes more than the other way around.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of doing what we do. My work has always fitted into my life. I've always made sure that life comes first. And I know that's more difficult if you perhaps work for a bigger business or a corporate, but but yeah, we'll sit there. Cara.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'll send my hand up.
Sorry, Russ.
you
Sorry,
go
Russ. You go
ahead,
first.
It's fine. Yeah, I think, well, yeah, just like Brian as well, I don't have any kids. But both me and my brother also work from home. I think I understand life also gets busy, and maybe this also ties into the point about what Brian mentioned about blocking out sections for work and stuff like that. Is that for me, and especially I saw it in COVID, you know, it helps a lot if you have like a designated workspace, basically. So like, this room used to actually be my bedroom, and then I turned it into an office, and I sleep in this bedroom. But then I have a routine where I actually get up and dress for work as if I'm going to work. Because what I found with just not myself, but with clients, like before COVID started and we were working remotely a bit, it's easy to get complacent at home because everything's so relaxed. So for many, the mindset switch of like walking into an office makes a huge difference, or that trip to the office to switch up. So activating that switch, and then it's difficult to say because I don't have kids, but I would say like, you know, you obviously try and make sure the doors close in your section of time. You know, life does happen. And then for work sessions or deep work sessions, I also allocate like my mornings. I don't check emails first. I'd usually allocate a time to check emails around midday, so I can like eat the frog in a sense every morning. So you focus on the priorities, because to Alex's note, the longer you leave it, the more stress it causes. Yeah, especially if it falls onto the next day, and then you kind of just delaying from getting it done, and you're just causing more suffering to yourself. You know, so that's what I would do. Yeah.
Thanks, Russell. I'm glad to see you've lost the suit. When I met Russell, he wore a 3-piece suit every day of his life. A little like Quibus, but
Do still wear a bit of suit now, but like, yeah, not as formal as before.
yeah, I think it must be the new person in your life that's getting you relaxed. It's a good influence. Cara.
A bit.
Yeah, I working from home last year was a challenge. I had builders at the house, so I had to be at home and not at the office. And to add to that, I have 3 dogs. They're all big dogs. And I actually find I go to work to get away from my family and my dogs and my home. And so, yes, I prefer being at the office. And working from home is challenging. My family, my daughter, only allow her 3 phone calls a day. You know, she's one of those clingy kids. And on phone call number 3, this is your 3rd, no more. And that's how I've pretty much handled my family. So,
Yeah, so setting some clear boundaries. I can imagine you need to do that.
we just haven't managed to set those for Mark yet.
It's Mark a problem.
I'll tell you what, that's more frustrating than the kids.
Anyone else have anything that they'd like to share about what did work or what didn't work last year? Anything that they tried that didn't work? Because that does happen.
I'll chip in, seeing as I've been the source of amusement this morning. December, January have been quite interesting mental journey, if I could put it that way. I've been in the industry a long time. I've been advising for just over 10 years now. I think it is. I don't know where the time goes. And just like Cindy, I think the benefit of this group to me in the beginning was that it kept me in the industry, because you know I've sort of started over again a number of times. Over December, I think the thing that hit me was that I realized my personal battery was dead. You know, you pick up so much from this group. You know, it reinvigorates you in one way, because you're picking up all these little things, and it's like, oh, I don't do that, or I should do this, or in so many instances, it was a question of I should go back to doing that because I used to, you know. So what's your bloody problem? And then I realized over December the problem was that for a lot of reasons it was just the battery was dead, and so the motivation to do stuff was there, but the reserves weren't there. So and again, you know, I toyed very much with stepping away, doing something else. And then I had a chat with Cara on Monday, and then I sort of realized it's. I think my problem has always been is that it's never been about the money. Don't know whether that's good or bad, but you know, I think the bottom line is that the bank account never showed commensurate reward for that battery that was draining. So, and I think, you know, we've talked in the past about segmentation, and I've always prided myself on, yes, everybody gets the same treatment, just maybe not quite as often, but you hit the nail on the head, Dirk. You can't be everything to everybody. Sometimes you've got to put that ego aside and realize that you can't be the right fit for everybody, and not everybody's the right fit for you. So scale back, deal with the clients that you know, buy what you're trying to do. I don't want to use the word loyal, but you know, there's a proven track record of engagement. I've now been looking at just how many clients I've got where, you know, it's a product here or it's an interaction there, and they're still on the books, but you've got to do all the compliance and all the everything, and that's draining. So yeah, I think the thing is I started walking, which, you know, at 3 degrees, 2 degrees is not easy. Fortunately, I can put a dog on a leash and have it pull me through the snow, just about. But it's so it's finding that balance, and I wouldn't have got to all of this point without all these little things just getting to effectively a breaking point over December. So yeah, that's my story for the day, and it's -4 real fuel at the moment. So thank you for warming me up as well.
Where are you, Mark?
In Castletown in the Isle of Man.
Oh, wow. Okay, I didn't realize. I thought everyone was in SA. I know we had one lady from that joins us now and then. But Mark, thanks for sharing that. That's really personal. And yeah, thanks for being vulnerable there. And I mean, what you said, yeah, I don't think there are many people on this group who are in it for the money. Because if they were, they'd be out there doing what they do, you know. And I think that is the battle. It's a very real, I find it still as well. I mean, I've been 33 years doing this, and I put a post towards the end of last year that, you know, no matter how hard we still get our feelings hurt by our clients. And it was actually remarkable, the response I got from advisors all over the world. I mean, it was just crazy. And I think that is just something that we just have to accept. That if you're doing this for the money, if you, in other words, if you're a businessman, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but then I think you're really going to battle to do proper lifestyle planning, which the trap guys call real financial planning, which is really what it is. So yeah, thanks for sharing. And I think one of the beauties of this.
Sorry, I was trying to jump in. I was going to say you're welcome. I think the proof of the pudding and the value of this group is that I got up at 6:15 in the bloody. It seems like the dead of night. I mean, yeah. Anyway, so enjoy your sunshine.
Thanks. Yeah.
But I will just say it is easier to get warm than it is to cool down. I'm tired of sweating in Durban.
Yeah, and that's always been something on this group is the the camaraderie, and that's one of the reasons I kind of safeguard it as well, is because it needs to be a safe place where people can express themselves and you know, share troubles or struggles that we have. Someone else had their hand up. Russell, sorry.
Great. I also wanted to add, like, I guess something I've learned from this last year. So actually, when I came back and I was taking stock in December, and I was working through refining processes for the business and the firm and all that, I think two things I've learned. I think similarly to Cindy, I'm also entering my 10th year in financial advice. So all I can say to the younger planners in this field is like, just like stick it out, you know. And I think 2 points leading off what Mark mentioned as well is that without realizing it, a lot of us are in this industry, you know, to help people. And most of us are people pleasers, you know. That's the thing. But and this was an activity I was doing, I think, when I was watching Crystal talk about it, is that you can transform that into saying you're a proud people pleaser, meaning on the plus side, from one angle, you enjoy helping people and putting them in a better space where money is not your driver. And then secondly, as well, you also are cognizant or aware that, and this is something I've also had to learn over the years. I remember this is why I joined this group when Dirk started it, was that I was cutting or discounting myself a lot just to get clients. And without realizing it, it actually affects you. Like each of us have a gift to help clients with their finances and time meaning to where they, you know, with their money and so forth as well, and give them peace of mind. But what we tend to lose sight of is that sometimes we so focus on trying to please people. And like someone mentioned earlier, we're not meant for every client, that it's at the detriment of your own well-being. And I've also gone through that journey within the last 10 years where I had moments of burnout where I was pushing just to see clients and please them and bending off backwards and discounting myself for my fees, which also in a sense was discounting my value. That there was periods where I lost like the passion for the industry or the fire. And I started like resenting some of the client relations because I'm like, I'm working so hard and there's no appreciation I'm getting back. So I think over time, like when I've looked at where I want to build going forward, is that, you know, we obviously are here to help clients, but you also, there's nothing wrong with wanting or making a firm statement of like, I only want to work with clients that are as committed as I am, you know, to their finances. And I always use the analogy with clients of like, I can't be the only one paddling in your lifestyle financial planning boat or your boat. Others will just be going in circles. So I think just from my point, it's just like, you know, always be willing to help clients, but not at the detriment of like your own well-being. And another point that me and Monique were looking at when we are like revising of where we want to go as a firm is that we tend to overcomplicate the thing of like, because we see on LinkedIn and on social media, all these top advisors are top firms, and we think their life is perfect and like, you know, they're making a lot of money, they're successful and all that. And a lot of the other successful planners, you know, including Dirk and most of you on here, you know, that I've spoken to as well, social media and LinkedIn doesn't show all the challenges we each go through, right? And when me and Monique were like on reviewing like where we want to grow our practice going forward, we found that it's not as complicated. We are so complicated of trying to be a big corporate entity or trying to be like this massive company, when in actual fact, you start losing your individuality and your own personality of what actually attracts clients to you in that process. And a simple question, like we had this discussion on WhatsApp about, I remember, I think it was the time I posted like, really happens, but when I did that 10 meetings back to back, and a lot of the younger planners were asking like how you did, and Dirk screenshotted of like, take yourself as if you were the client going through the process. So it brought back to an important question me and Monique asked with like everything we do is, we say we're client-centric, you know, you're customer-centric, but an important question to ask yourself with like the advice you give, how you treat clients, how you want to build your business and your process is, how is this or what I'm doing for the client? Because without realizing it, I made this mistake as well in the past. I used to do a lot of things or processes and tools, and it's like, oh, this is nice for the client. But meanwhile, it's appealing to me as the financial planner, not as if I'm a client seeking advice. You know, so I think that's like another level of trying to put yourselves in the shoes of the client when you take yourself through your advice process and your practice and where you want to build your practice towards. Yeah, that's all I wanted to share.
Thanks, Russell. Yeah. I think you've been looking at my notes because like stuff I wanted to talk about, you really brought up there. But Yeah, I think it's like, you know, what I said earlier on is there's just so much stuff out there, and you know, we need to actually meet clients where they are. The reality is that majority of clients don't know a fraction of what we know. And at the same time, one of the last sessions last year was about self-care. And I'm going to run this year with that very high in the back of my mind. So you guys know I'm quite straight. I'm going to get even straighter because, quite frankly, there is so much bullshit out there. And we need to protect ourselves, but we also need to protect groups like this and our colleagues from the real financial porn that's out there, you know. And yeah, so why not be controversial? So, like, you know, stuff like meet the managers and all that, you know, one of the things I was going to say is decide like this year, who are you going to follow? What events are you going to go to? It's so easy to get caught up to. You go to investment talk and there are all these guys, and they, you know, they all drive fancy cars and they dress smartly and they talk about funds and this and that. We know deep down it's all a load of crap. We know that. Okay. Where we add value is this stuff we're talking about. It's the soft stuff. It's about really caring about people, really helping people. And that's why when you meet those ego boosted people, and they kind of put you down because of what you do, and they make you feel like you're not good enough, or like you're missing out, or you're not doing something, come back to this group, you know, and get the medicine, because this is the real medicine. This is the Kool-Aid you should be drinking, you know. And it's so easy to slip back into that old thing of trying to be, you know, a fun picker and, you know, to be really cool. The only cool thing about this profession is helping people, and that's really, really cool. And for those of you who've done it, and, you know, when you feel what it does, the way that it makes you feel, you know, there's no better feeling than that. So yeah. Shannon, you had your hand up, and then Marguerite.
Yeah, Dirk. My mind's going all over the show in terms of what you're saying, in terms of what Russell's saying, and there's just so much there. But just coming back to, you made a comment that it's not about the money. And yes, it isn't about the money, but sometimes that can become a huge problem. And, you know, what we do for clients, and we get so much emotional gratification out of seeing the change and the impact we have on people's lives. But I find myself very often doing stuff and I'm not billing clients for it. And financially, at the end of the day, money is a reality, and we do need to earn a certain amount of money. And it's a problem that I face where you sit with this dilemma, and I find that I get the feel that in relation to what we do and how we do it, we're not earning enough money for it. And it is, you know, it does come down to the money. And I don't know if other people grapple with this and how other people on the group deal with it and work with clients with that. Because I honestly find when I look at what I do for clients and when I look at other advisors driving big fancy cars and earning lots of money do for clients, I'm doing a hell of a lot more, but I'm not earning as much money as these guys are earning. And then you kind of ask yourself, well, where am I going wrong? So that's the one dilemma. And yeah, and then the other thing, Dirk, what you were saying in terms of, you know, you need to convey this message of this, what the industry is trying to sell ourselves to be, in other words, asset managers and all that, and educate the group. I think it extends a lot further than that. It's about trying to educate the client, because they're the ones that buy that Kool-Aid. That's what they want. And it's because of the fear in terms of that. So, you know, and again, that's a challenge I find in having to, how to convey that to clients.
Great point, Shannon. And I think when we said it's not about the money, I mean, we're not doing this for the money. There are plenty of people who are in the industry to make money. And you're quite right. I mean, one of the things around self-care is knowing when to walk away from a client, you know. And I mean, I think this is something a lot of us battle with, because we naturally want to help people and support them. but you're right, we do need to feed our families and pay the bills. So finding that balance is really important. I mean, yeah, all my years in the industry, we now eventually these last couple of years doing proper segmentation and things, and we re-looking at having different offerings for different clients, because the reality is some people are just more complicated than others, and but you can still care about your clients without giving them, I've said to my team this year, we all getting together next week, but what we do for our clients is way, way more than what the average client is getting from a planner out there. So let's just stick with that. Let's not overcomplicate. Let's not overpromise and rather underpromise and overdeliver. Do what we do it really, really well. And when it comes to educating clients, it's like the simple stuff. That's why I'm going to tell you, there's one podcast you listen to, it's Trap, the Real Advisor podcast, because those are real planners in the UK. They deal with things, they call it absolutely straight, like your investment proposals and things like that. And that's something I want to chat about later on as well. So we'll get there. But yeah, thanks, Shannon. Marguerite. You muted. So.
It sounds to me as if some of the intentions we need to set for ourselves is to figure out what is our personal enough. What does that look like in terms of how much we need to earn to not feel resentment towards our clients, and then also how to set boundaries so that we protect our own well-being. But that wasn't actually what I wanted to speak about. It just feels as the conversation is so far down the line now from where I wanted to comment that it almost feels irrelevant. But back to what Russell and Dirk said earlier about back to basics. I think our clients crave personal connection in a world that's become so process and technology driven. Just picking up the phone and hearing your voice on the other side of the phone means a heck of a lot more to clients than what we realize. And what again reminded me of this was, I think it was Russell who posted on the WhatsApp group early in December, pick up the phone when you wish a client happy birthday. I think it was something around that. And it happened to be on the day of one of my clients' birthdays. And I was planning on WhatsApping him because he normally WhatsApps me. And so it's like I would just do what he does. And that comment on the WhatsApp group reminded me of something that Tom Peters said in one of his books about the connection that you build when you speak to a client, either face-to-face or personally on the phone. So I actually picked up the phone and phoned my client. And from that, more work followed, even though I saw him early in December for his annual review. So it was like 2 weeks later that I spoke to him, and more work followed on from that. And I just realized that if I just sent him a WhatsApp, maybe nothing would have come from it. But our clients really, really crave that personal connection. And I think the more we can carve out space to create opportunities for that, the deeper and more meaningful the relationships will be that we build with our clients.
Yeah, Marguerite, I think you're so right. I actually said this to my team at the end of last year as well. We've got to start picking up the phone again, because it's so unusual. It's like what Mark was saying, like go back to what you used to do. There's some things that simply don't change. And that human connection is the reason why we'll always be relevant. No AI is ever going to take our jobs, because people want to deal with people. So yeah, thanks. Brendan. Sorry, Brendan, you muted.
Can you hear me now? That better? Okay. Just Russell's point about too much self-sacrifice and too much compromise, and perhaps linking it with Dirk's point about getting hurt in this industry. So I've compromised because I'm 8 years in, but still at a point where I've compromised a lot in the past on fees and doing things for free and discounting fees to try and get business. And more often than not, doing that, I get hurt. I've gotten hurt, and I find that by being steadfast with fees, by believing in myself and by not compromising, you get rejected a lot. There's a lot of rejection. You know, potential clients will balk at your fees and will argue with, perhaps even argue with you about them. But that also hurts, but it hurts a hell of a lot less than doing compromising, taking, you know, self-sacrificing and then getting hurt that way. And then Dirk, just lastly, the beauty pageants. That's something that was a big thing for me this year. Is actually asking the question, well, how is this event going to benefit my clients? And if the answer is, well, it's not, then I don't go. You know, if there's nothing that's going to really add value to my clients' lives in any way, shape, or form, like I won't attend the event.
Yeah, thanks, Brendan. I think, and I want to clarify that as well, because I've been to obviously hundreds of these things over the years. And if you knew, we do need to learn a little bit about some stuff, and some of the events are worthwhile. But, you know, you've also got to realize that someone is making a truckload of money running these events. You know, there used to be one, now there's so many every year. Some of them are valuable. You know, you got to look at the speaker lineup, you got to look at what they're talking about. But those beauty parades, literally where you run from room to room and everyone, you know, shows you, you know, why they're the best and how they're the best, you know, it really, it's an insult to our intelligence. And that's why I get a little bit uppity about it, because I think those people, we are their clients, and that's what they see. They're not interested in our clients. They're interested in our clients' money.
Yeah.
And we, you know, we need to be clear on that. I've got mates who run asset management businesses, and and I always say to them, we do all the work and you make all the money, and they smile. They know, they don't disagree. So it's an unfair world, but get on with it, you know.
I mean, look what I like with single manager presentation. So if it's a particular, rather than, you know, jumping from room to room and, you know, going from a, you know, pick me, like if you go to a single manager, they tend to have more in the way of psychology and behavioral finance and study, like studies that, you know, could help you adjust your approach with clients. And it's those type of things that I think would be a lot more valuable than, you know, somebody talking about why they're holding gold fields, for example. Like what's the relevance of that to my clients? You know, but if there's something that I can adopt from the presentation that's actually really gonna, you know, if it's, for example, if it's something about living annuity withdrawals, if they're doing work on, you know, what is a safe withdrawal and what is the portfolio, what should the portfolio mix be, and showing us all sorts of interesting research about that we could perhaps apply and could be practical. You know, I think that's a lot more worthwhile.
Yeah, it is. I just remembered I played golf a few weeks ago with the guy who runs Fairtree in London. Good old Afrikaans boy, 40 years old, obviously does fairly well. And we were just talking about the industry. I didn't realize what he did until later on when he told me. I just knew that he was in the industry. And obviously those boys are pretty smart. But I mean, basically what I've just said was completely confirmed. You know, basically their job is to get assets, to gather assets. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we need to understand what they do is very different to what we do. One thing I just also wanted to mention is, you know, every year up on this group, I don't know how many years we're running now, maybe Russell can tell me, but it comes up on fee models. And I'm assuming that at some point this year, that's going to come up again. And what I want to say is, like, I don't care about your fee model. I don't care if you charge 2%. I don't care if you charge an hourly rate or flat fee rates. We got to just get rid of this nonsense, because everyone must charge the way that they feel comfortable and that works for them. You know, as long as clients understand what they, what they're getting for what they're paying. You know, I can go to a physio here in St. Francis and one's going to charge me 500 Rand. I can go to another one, they're going to charge me 750. They're both qualified, both went to Stellies. Like, what's the difference? The one just charges differently. You know, they don't tell me what they're going to charge me before I walk in. So I think, you know, that's another area where people who advise to the industry, so your MoneyWeb journalists, and I can say what I want here, it doesn't matter. That's the nice thing about the group, but I'm not nailing MoneyWeb, but I'm saying all these financial journalists who criticize what financial planners do, you know, we can't let that get to us. We just got to do what we do. And as Brendan says, you got to work out what you charge and just stick to it. Don't compromise, because when you compromise yourself, you lose confidence, you start doubting yourself. You know, rather just, that's how I'm going to charge. I'm happy with it. Don't criticize the way anyone else charges. Stick to your guns and just do what you do. So, yeah, sorry, someone had their hand up. Mark.
Yeah, it's funny. Again, these little things that open up. It's almost like this group is like a key that opens up memories sometimes. I remember a couple of years ago going to a presentation at the Oyster Box. I'm sure we all remember that whole Steinhoff saga with much glee and fortitude. And I distinctly remember that fund manager literally apologizing to the audience for having missed the Steinhoff boat, you know, and off they went. And a year later, in the same venue, the same fund manager was going on about their processes, you know, the checks and the whole process. That's how they avoided Steinhoff. You know, and I remember thinking to myself at the time, okay, so do you think we're stupid? Do you think we all have memories, you know, the same duration as a guppy? Because last year you were apologizing for missing the boat. Now this year you're telling us it's because your processes were. And so yeah, you're like, pfft. And then the comment that was made just now, I thought to myself, won't mention the fund manager, but I think I've still got some funds with that fund manager, you know. So the credibility of it sometimes, you know, we've got to be the gatekeeper. You know, it's like you said, we know more than most of our clients, and if we don't act on those fashion parades, you know, the client at the end of the day knows no better. So I think we've got to keep the channels between ourselves open, because, you know, it's all good and well sharing here, but the chats and stuff like that are great, because, you know, we all seem to have different experiences with different providers. That to me makes no sense.
Yeah, Mark, every year I write an article. I do articles in Francis, and it's about this. It's the time of the year when everyone makes their forecasts. Alan Smith did a whole thing on it as well. I don't know if you don't follow Alan Smith, follow him on Twitter and LinkedIn. He puts a lot of really good content out. But I mean, last year, the US was meant to go into recession. No one saw inflation rising. So where most of the top analysts, we're talking JP Morgan, all these guys, we're looking at the S&P going negative. What happened last year? The S&P to 26%. Okay. So the reality is these guys know nothing. They're very clever people, but they absolutely know nothing. One thing we do know, though, is that in the long run, the market goes up. So the less time, you know, so the bottom line is, you know, maximum equity exposure. This is something I'm trying to get my head around, but we know it works because, you know, we've got hundreds of years of data. You know, so yeah, I mean, that was one thing I wanted to talk about, and we'll finish this, and then there's a few points I just wanted to highlight for the group. But you're right, you can be made to feel really stupid when you go to those talks. And I always laugh because people like sit there and they just like take all this stuff in, and then they ask these questions like, what about gold, or what about this? And I'm thinking, like, what do you discuss with your clients? I mean, it must be absolutely frightening, like being a fly on the wall in that meeting, you know. And then the comfort is you realize that what we're doing is the right thing to do. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Okay, yeah, just a few points I thought just to kick the year off. As I said, my whole personal thing this year and within our business is just to simplify things, understand what we do well, try to do those things even better, really just nail down, you know, certain things that we do know make a difference, instead of trying to do too much, because there is so much noise out there. So yeah, a few things I wrote down is like, with all the noise, just decide who you're going to follow. You know, I drive from St. Francis to PE at least once a week, so I've got time to listen to podcasts. Trap is really good. Brendan Fraser, you guys all know. But there's some really, really good stuff out there. And if you're not listening to the stuff, whether it's on a walk or whatever, on a cycle, guys, you have to keep on learning, and to learn from people who are in the industry at the coalface and who don't mince their words. That's the best place to learn. So I would encourage you to listen, especially the trap guys, and follow them individually. You know, it's quite fun actually, because you know they don't hold any punches, especially Nick Lincoln. Andy Hart's great as well. And then, yeah, the other thing was learning to walk away. You know, sometimes people just aren't ready for what we have to offer them. You know, and we can do self-harm there. So really, you know, make this a year where you understand how much value each of us can add to the people that we deal with. Don't make yourself too vulnerable. You know, we do have to with clients, but not in a way where we get abused. Any client who does that, no matter how much money they've got, walk away, because it's going to do more damage to your psyche than good. And then have a process. I know we've been through processes. We've shared our process with everyone, and I think every year kind of we do it again, and with people joining at different times. You know, there are people that have and haven't seen it. And what I'd like to offer is that at some point, maybe in a couple of months, I'm happy to have a separate session with people who haven't seen our process, that we can just share that with you guys, and maybe help you build your own. But really, you have to have a process in your business. I was anti this for many, many years, and June was one of the people that really helped me build ours initially. But it makes everything just flow so much easier. You know, and if you don't have a process, dare say you don't have a business. Then you're just having loose conversations with people. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's. Steal from everyone. Use what works for you. It will constantly change, so don't wait for it to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Okay, but have a process. And then reach out, guys. Reach out when you're battling with stuff. Reach out to people on this group. Don't feel that you're going to be bugging people. We all resonate better with different people. I'm part of the Valentab Association. I've actually put a message out this morning, and that is a group where those are established lifestyle financial planning businesses. And I basically just asked any of those individuals who would like to serve as a mentor to anyone on this group. But I think we can all mentor each other, as we've basically been doing this morning. But if there's anyone that, you know, find a mentor, and it doesn't matter how long you've been in this industry for, you know, just find someone that you're comfortable with, that you can WhatsApp or have a chat with, or a video call. Okay, it's really important, and that's what this group is for. And the reason this group started, the first members were Alex, Russell, and Simon, who's not here today. And the fact that Russell and Simon are still here, Alex doesn't have to be here, but he is. The reason that Russell and Simon are still here is because they want to give back, and that's a big thing, is always giving back to the industry and to newcomers to the group. Again, bold statement: if you're not doing cash flow planning, you can't do real financial planning. And I know this is a bit of a punt for the old Mutual Wealth RWP, but really, guys, like, don't fight it. If you're not doing cash flow planning, it is almost impossible to do proper lifestyle financial planning. So, you know, if you're not, reach out to June. We reach out to me, it doesn't matter. But I can't emphasize that it changed. You know, when I first saw that IPAC model 24 years ago, it just changed the way I saw the world. And I suddenly knew, we've spoken this morning about people who at times have felt like they want to leave the industry. If you don't have a process, and if you're not doing proper cash flow modeling, you're going to battle to really add value. So look at that, and then simplify your investment offering. There was also chat on the group last year about DFMs. So, you know, I come from the world where before we had anything like that, where we started with IPAC, that was the first, what they call now a DFM. It's a multi-manager approach. But yeah, also just look at who you're using, guys, because there's a lot of cowboys out there. Their marketing is really, really good. You know, if the guys are just picking funds and putting them in a pool and using some passives to get costs down, whatever, really question what you're doing. Costs are important, but it's not everything. It's, you know, do these people have a proper process? But simplify your investment offering. You know, if you've got 3 investment offerings, it's you're going to battle. Even if you've got 2, you're going to battle. What's worked really well for us, you know, we've used certain investment strategies for the last 22, 23 years. It just makes our business so much easier to operate. The conversations we have with clients, also those funds have performed over that period. They've produced what they set out to achieve, which means clients can achieve their real life goals. So simplify that. Yeah, I've already spoken about choosing the events that you want to attend. It's expensive being in this industry now. You know, just paying, if we are CFP, paying for your license is really expensive. All the fees we have to pay the FSCA for, adding very little value to what we do, because they still don't really know what we do. And then a lot of these events, a lot of them are free or they're quite cheap. Some are expensive, but maybe those are worth going to. The FBI convention this year was really pretty good. It's the first one I've been to in person for a few years. There are always the sponsors who speak. Generally, those are the talks to miss if you're going to miss any. But yeah, choose the events that you're going to attend. Yeah, and then also kind of decide what you're going to do. You know, we do this at the beginning of every year, New Year's resolutions. But you know, instead of trying to do too much in your businesses, focus on 1 or 2 things that you're going to get right this year, and then just pursue those things. You know, nothing's going to happen without taking action. So, you know, so yeah, and that's really what I had on my list today. Anyone else? And then the other thing is there anything that someone wants us to discuss in these sessions? Either put it on the group or just DM me on the WhatsApp group. Something that you're battling with, we can discuss it in one of the future sessions. Again, the purpose of this group is to help people do lifestyle financial planning properly, real financial planning. So yeah, that's one I had on the list. Anyone have anything else they want to share or say? Shannon?
Yeah, Dirk, just when you say in terms of cash flow modeling, speak to June, IWP. Who's June?
June's bottom left of my screen. So it's Old Mutual Wealth, okay? And just history. So, you know, 23 years ago, I was leaving the industry. We had the dot-com crash. We had the rand strengthen. So, you know, before that, anything you put offshore got 34% guaranteed. Those 2 things happened, and I realized asset managers weren't answering their phones. I realized I wasn't adding value. And I heard about this business called IPAC, this concept of lifestyle planning. I flew to Cape Town, was meant to meet Barry Armani. Barry was in Durban. I sat with Andrew Bradley, who brought the business out from Australia. I explained my dilemma. He told me what lifestyle planning was, showed me the model, and it was like, that was it. You know, I flew back to P the next day, never wrote another commission investment case, and yeah, and it was a battle. But so IPAC then became Axis. When IPAC was sold, it was an Australian company to UBS. They didn't want the SA business, so Brait and management bought IPAC SA out of that, and Axis was formed. And then about 12 years ago, Old Mutual bought Axis, started Old Mutual Wealth. So it's a separate business to the Old Mutual. Andrew Bradley was CEO of that business for a while, and then he left and new management took over, and there was a battle there, but we built. But basically, that cash flow model, that very basic model that we had in those old days, it's just grown. It's got better and better. Tian Hesselman heads up that team. He's unbelievable. The team's unbelievable. But it's cash flow modeling, and I mean, I don't like doing this, but the Old Mutual Wealth offering, the IWP offering, is just unbelievable. What June and people like her in that business do, you know, they've got financial planning coaches. Yeah, they really are. They help you build your business. They help you build your practice. They help you build your processes. It really is worth it. And I think at the cost, it's an absolute no-brainer. I cannot believe that in all these years, none of the other life companies have followed suit and built their own model, because it really isn't rocket science. Well, it is to me, but yeah. So it is a punt for Old Mutual Wealth, and it's just simply because no one else has that model. The funds that we've been using for 23 years, they match that model. We got clients who've had money there for all those years. They've way outperformed their benchmarks. They're really boring, which I love. So they're the original DFM. But cash flow planning is it's so important. It'll change your lives. It'll change the conversations you have with your clients. And if you're not doing it, if you're trying to set up your own little Excel spreadsheet, well done, good luck. But don't reinvent the wheel. It is there. So yeah. June, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Dirk, you've done such a great job. So yeah, I can't really add more. I think I just get the question all the time, and I know I was going to have a session with some of the people on the group in any case that reached out to me. But I think just so that everyone knows, I know Russell has reached out to me, and I need to say this, unfortunately, because I do work for a product provider. It's a product provider. So we come in, I can do a demo of, what this cash flow modeling looks like. I can show you all the different services that we offer. So I'm a financial planning coach. So I specifically focus on the expertise that you have within financial planning, and that's where the cash flow modeling comes in. Okay, so how do we base our advice that we give to clients? What does the model actually show with regard to the advice that you give the client? What is the outcome? You can do different things. So I focus on that. Like the process that Dirk shared, let's say we've got an initial engagement, I focus on that. What does the process look like when the client walks into your office? Initial engagement, goal setting, when you do developing scenarios, when you do implementation, when you do review. So we've got scripted, written down processes, and we normally take that and also kind of adjust that to whatever you feel would work for you in your practice, as long as it's there. Then we also have the business owner hat, which we have business coaches for, and they will come in and look at your business processes. Okay, and they've got value add. And then we also have solutions. Dirk, and I have to say this, unfortunately, we have to look at a way for support coming to Old Mutual Wealth, because that's where we make profit, and I am being paid by Old Mutual Wealth. So you do pay for the service if you want this, but it's basically a conflict of interest because we do not offer this to everyone. So it's a conflict of interest payment, but they make profit into our, if money flows into our solutions or onto our platform. We're not saying we want all the business. We just want to say, is there an opportunity in your practice? And there needs to be some flows coming into our solutions. So unfortunately, I have to say that, and I'm very upfront and honest with all the planners that I have sessions with. That's actually all I can add, Dirk.
Yeah, I think, Mark, if you're in the UK, you've probably got about 4 or 5 businesses you can approach on cash flow models. I've seen all of them, but really the IWP is on steroids. It really is. And June, I mean, thank you for being so honest. And that is the reality. But and you know, when I years ago did the whole IPAC thing, we hated the corporates, like really, and we all know why. So you know, ending up back at Old Mutual was like, it was a very bitter pill to swallow, and a lot of people left the group because of that. There were a few of us who muscled through it and have built really fantastic relationships with the people who run that business. And I can tell you that right up to the MD, there is no other business that size. I mean, the biggest financial institution in SA, where the people that run those businesses are human, like they are. I mean, they really, really are unique people. So yeah. And then again, the solutions that are offered are really, I mean, they haven't got, no one else has got something they don't have. Something I will share, which, yeah, I suppose I can. The Voluntarber group, Old Mutual Wealth, helped us set that up. That was set up. It's a community of established lifestyle financial planning businesses, where it's similar to this, but we're trying to improve our businesses and share on a higher level. I know Cindy's part of the group, and there probably are a few established people here that I should invite. But the investment strategies that have been heavily protected all these years, over 20 years, the SAS strategies, the costing has come right down in recent years. But Cindy, I don't think you know this, but from May, the costing's coming down even more, which is absolutely unbelievable. And it's straight profit that they're giving away. They're not making it up anywhere else, and whatever. And that is a benefit that's going to be open to Voluntarber members. So there probably are a few guys here I should invite. So yeah, that's the end of my punt for Old Mutual Wealth.
Dirk, maybe just a last comment from my side. If anyone is interested, for me to maybe just do a demo on the cash flow modeling and maybe what the full value proposition entails for Old Mutual Wealth, what the pricing would be. Maybe I should make it open to this group and just do a session for those who's interested to kind of see what it looks like. Then at least you guys know when someone is talking about it, what it actually entails. I'm very open to do that. We can invite everyone, and then if you're interested, you join. You know, I'm not going to be offended if you don't join.
Yeah, June, I think that's a great idea. I'll maybe put it on the group. It's the same thing with our process. I don't want to take up a whole session running through our process again, because a lot of you have seen it before. But maybe what we can do is just set up side sessions for maybe those who want to go through both what we do and what you do. So we can do that. Shannon.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Just something aside from that, Dirk, just on the SIS funds, are they only exclusively available on the IWP platform?
So IWP is a model, the Old Mutual Wealth platform. We can access them on, some of us are able to access them on some other platforms, namely Grey, 91, but you need to be part of the Voluntarber group. At the same time, also on the IWP platform, they have, so the admin fees are by far the best in the industry, 0.35. Maximum our clients pay are 0.35%. They also do family costing, where across families, which includes trusts and kids, the maximum admin fee per month is 660. So, you know, our wealthier clients are paying like 0.03 admin fee. So, you know, costs are important. So yeah. So there's a lot to look at. Obviously, you don't want to move off certain platforms for CGT purposes and things like it. But even there, you can do a unit transfer. You know, there's lots of things to be done. But yeah. Okay, is there anything that anyone specifically wants us to discuss in next month's session? Okay, if you think of anything, drop me a line, let me know. Otherwise, Anyone else want to chat about anything, or are we ready to hit the streets?
I don't want to take up time with the group, but just carrying on the thread with regards to cash flow modeling and the IWP offering and that. Do you in any way feel vulnerable due to the fact that the tools that you're using to run your business in terms of the cash flow modeling are tied to a product provider? That should something go wrong with the relationship and you want to exit from the relationship with the product provider, you now putting your business in a vulnerable position because you're so reliant on those tools.
Yeah, so Shannon, I mean, I really get that. I think where I come from, you know, I haven't just opened the door one day. I've been dealing with the model and the funds for the last 23, 24 years. So the model's grown. So it's gone from IPAC to Access to Old Mutual Wealth. And I've been part of that change, and that change has happened over 20 odd years. So for me, it's easy. I'm extremely comfortable. I hear what you're saying there. I'm extremely comfortable because I know the people. So like I make a point of getting to know the people. So I know the people in the organization at the highest level, right? And that's not being boastful. That's just, and it's important. At the same time, yeah, also, you know, there isn't another cash flow model. So if something had to happen, you're right, it would be an issue. But right now, you know, I mean, that could happen and it probably won't happen. Because it's not, we haven't got a relationship with one person. I can tell you the culture of the organization is completely unique. So, you know, I mean, you can just take my word for that. But you know, otherwise, dip your toe in and find out for yourself. In every corporate, there are always going to be the salespeople. You know, you're always going to come across someone who has the mentality of 20 years ago, but they stick out like a sore thumb. But I don't really have a concern. I mean, it could be, but I just can't see that change happening. So I don't see it as a really viable threat. You know, we have a fair bit of money with them. So, and there are a lot of us, you know, the Voluntary Harbour Association, we have a good few billion with them. So we do have clout, you know, and the reason that things are happening, like the model keep on getting better, fund fees coming down, that's because we've put pressure on them. So as even though we have a very friendly, healthy relationship, we continuously put pressure on them to improve their offering and their business. There's no other business in the industry that does this. No other business. So yeah, I know it sounds like a punt, but I'm extremely comfortable with the whole organization. So I don't see it, for me, it's not a threat, but I understand your question.
Have you looked at other cash flow modeling tools out there and perhaps looked at running the cash flow modeling as a separate entity, but still backing it using the underlying SIS funds?
Well, find me a cash flow model. Name one.
Elite Wealth.
Yeah, I've looked at them all. It's they if I could say, a lot of those models, without being personal to any of them, I've looked at all of them. They are all created by people who aren't really in the industry. It's not created by lifestyle planners. And there's a big difference there. So I've looked at them. You know, and one thing I've also learned is you know, we're all looking for that silver bullet. We're looking for one organization that's going to do everything brilliantly. That doesn't exist, that never will exist. What Wealth do really well is the modeling, and then the funds that I've used for 20 odd years speak to that. You know, if I look at the clients, they're living the life we've planned. If I look at their money, it's done what we planned, regardless of fees. And remember, when I started, I mean, I did charge upfront fees, money coming in. And despite all of that, they've still performed. The outcomes are still there. So again, fees are important, but if that is your go-to, then I would question that. Fees will continuously come down, but your investment process is what's important. this industry is never going to be static. It's going to keep on evolving. It's going to keep on getting better. And as I say, I can't believe that no one else has come up with a cash flow model that really works.
Dirk, have you had the opportunity to look at WealthBit?
Yeah, I have looked at that quite a while ago. Yeah. Look, I'm sure they're going to get better in that. It's just, you know, when I look at what the IWP has to offer, it even compared to the systems overseas, you know, I've looked at IntelliFlow and I've, you know, all what are the others? One Paul Armstrong started. You know, they're all really good, but I promise you, the IWP is on another level. I mean, the only thing I mean, Timeline in the UK is unbelievable because of what Abraham brings into that. But I think you can use it, yeah, but it just doesn't integrate with our systems that well. But yeah, Junior, yeah.
Dirk, maybe just and I can't comment on the others, but we've always felt, you know, what differentiates us from the rest as well is the support that we give. We are really great on the support, you know, on the ground. So I can't talk to the others, but what I find from other modeling tools or other systems out there, the people don't really get the support if they get stuck. So we really are great with supporting. Yeah, so I just thought I'll add that. But Shannon, we get that all the time, and all the questions that's raised are really, really valid. And that's why we said, you know, we've got a full offering. We've got offshore capability, direct offshore. We've got private client securities. We've got TAS offerings. We've got DFM offerings. So everything. So even if it's just a portion, you don't have to be linked to us with all of your business. It's a portion that we just need support of, but I'll address that when we do those sessions in any case, so that we're all very clear on, you know, any expectations.
Thank you.
Thanks, June.
June and I actually have a session coming up, and I'm quite excited for it because I'm currently making use of WealthBit, and it's actually been brilliant, I must say. They're constantly doing little upgrades, and it's actually a really powerful platform for conversations with clients because they understand it very easily. They're also pretty independent, which is quite interesting, but you do pay a bit of a fee for it on a monthly basis, which if you have a few advisors working in the practice, it can definitely add up. So that's something else to consider. But I'm really keen to see what Old Mutual Wealth has to offer because I've heard a lot of good reviews on it. I always just kind of ignored it because of how bad Old Mutual was to me in the past. I didn't realize they weren't linked.
Yeah, it's a fair point, and I'll be honest. I've had pretty blinkers on, so I've probably drunk far too much Wealth Kool-Aid. But again, coming back to simplifying things, I think like decide what works for you and go for it. You know, again, understand the feelings around a big corporate like Mutual, because we still have to deal with the other side sometimes, and it's an absolute flipping nightmare. But again, whether you're going to use IWP, WealthBit, whatever, you really need to be doing cash flow planning. It'll change your conversations. It'll blow your clients away, and it'll allow you to feel that you're really adding value. Shannon.
Yeah, and just my concern with Old Mutual. Old Mutual is the one company that just out of the blue shut down my code because I wasn't giving them any business, any new flows. So I had assets on their platform, but they just, one day I got an email, your code is closed. I've made numerous attempts to have it reopened and nobody comes back to me. And, you know, it's something like that really leaves a sour taste in my mouth. I am an independent advisor and I try and become less and less reliant on product providers in terms of my offering. And it's that kind of stuff that makes me feel very vulnerable about using product providers and the tools that they offer. For me, I want a tool that I choose, and if I decide I don't want to use it anymore, I don't want to use it anymore. I don't want it linked to any product provider. June, I'd like to have a chat with you. If you could give me a shout, and you know, we can chat further.
So Shannon, I get you completely. And one last point: a lot of people see being independent as like the most important thing, and I know and honestly believe that a great advisor, a great lifestyle planner, isn't because you're independent or you have five contracts, or if you're aligned with one product house or one corporate. So you know, it's the person that gives the advice, that is the product, and that gives the you know. So that's where the value lies. So again, let's not get too cut up on all of that. Just you know, look after your clients. Guys, thanks. I thought we were going to run short, but we ran over time. Everyone have a great year. Welcome to all the newbies, and yeah, send me ideas for our chat next month, and have a great month.
Thanks, Dirk. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, guys.